I'm going to take this off of paper because I'm not real good at going off the cuff. If I go off the cuff, 2 minutes isn't going to cut it. My name is Jim Rodkey, and I'm a homeowner. I'm also a husband, a father, and a grandfather. I also chair a citizens advocacy group in Lebanon County that works towards the restoration of the rights of property to put those rights back where they rightfully belong with the property owner. Our organization supports the current legislation of HB and SB 76 and the elimination of the school property tax introduced through the Pennsylvania Taxpayer Cyber Coalition. My wife and I have been around this state on our own and with others for town halls similar to this. For the last 7 years, we don't get paid for what we're doing. We're not complaining that we don't. We don't expect. But we do this from an ideological point of view. We believe that the right to our homes is part of a sacred trust. We believe that government has a duty and obligation to uphold and protect our rights to property, just as our Commonwealth Constitution states in Article 1, Sections 1, 8, and 10. Articles that I believe this current system of property taxation and the other systems like the assessment that have been put in place to maintain it are in violation of those sections of our Declaration of Rights in the United States, in the Pennsylvania Constitution. As my wife and I have traveled across the state, I've seen the face of property tax. I have talked to countless people where it's already too late to save their homes from the tax collector. I've talked to the countless more who are on the verge of losing their homes. I have talked to others who are sacrificing essentials like food, new clothing, and medications in an effort to hold on to their homes. I've talked to people who have been struck with a debilitating illness, and while they could have maintained their mortgage payments, the property taxes have stripped them or are in the process of stripping them from their homes. I've met with people who have struggled through the death of their spouse and now face the potential of losing their homes as well. Again, while they may be able to maintain the mortgage, the constantly increasing property tax makes staying in those homes impossible. And adding insult to injury, these people have heard it said of them, you're losing your home because you bought too much house. I have talked to young people who want to buy a house and establish permanent roots in our communities. They tell me that while they can afford the mortgage, they can't afford the property tax, especially when they look down the road at future increases based on the historic pattern of increases in the property tax. I have talked to veterans who have sacrificed for this nation, who are struggling to hold on to their homes. I have talked to others who, in part because of the private property tax climate in Pennsylvania, have seen their jobs stripped out from underneath them, who are forced into lower-paying jobs to provide for their families. And again, while they may be able to keep up with the mortgage payments, the property taxes are stripping their homes away from them. I have talked to others who tell me that they haven't seen wage increases in 10 years, who have seen their home values decrease while their property taxes keep increasing at rates that they simply can no longer sustain. I have seen blight with homes because of the constant increases in property taxes contributing to an inability to necessarily maintain their own homes. I live in a community where I've seen firsthand overcrowding in apartment buildings because the impact of the increases in property taxation is making rent unaffordable to families who must then double up in their homes to meet the cost of that rent. This is not just a senior problem. The disease of the property tax reaches out to touch all ages, from our children to our grandchildren. And are we going to continue to ignore them just to protect the status quo? Do we continue to accept this twisted logic that 10,000 people losing their homes each year is not significant enough reason to replace what has been proven time and time again to be broken and irreparable? isn't more than 45,000 residents. That's one every 11.5 minutes from July of 2015 to July of 2016, fleeing from this state to escape the tax burden. Enough evidence to us that we can no longer maintain the status quo. If not, what more is it going to take? We sit here and we listen to this blame game, and there always seems to be someone else to blame for raising the taxes on our home. And I guess there's plenty of blame to go around, except for one group: the homeowner. The homeowner can't be blamed. It's not our fault for the mess that's been created. We didn't create this mess, and yet when you strip away all the rhetoric, it is the homeowner who will be held accountable. And that accountability extends to this egregious notion that either we pay for the ability of others to legally plunder our homes, or we will lose it. How is this not, as Frederick Bastiat declared, legal plunder? How is this not extortion? How is this an acceptable way of doing business in Pennsylvania? If we can't fund education without denying the right of home ownership to those who could, through their own labor and industry, otherwise afford to do so, then we have a very, very serious moral and ethical problem in Pennsylvania. That has to change. We must all be accountable to each other in the funding of education in a way that is fair and equitable to all. And the only way to accomplish that, is through the complete elimination of a tax that violates our right to property, the very homes that we live in.